Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in today's video we will talk about constants in SQL Server. So let's proceed ahead. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, or if you are new to this channel, I would recommend you to please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding my future and upcoming videos. My next video will be on the conversion series. Today's video is on constants, so we will explain about constants in today's video. So let me take you to notes quickly and let's discuss on constant. Guys, in case you want to make any donations or offerings to us via UPI, then you may scan the code on the right hand side to make the payment. You can use any of the UPI based apps like Google Pay or Phone Pay. So there's a code given on the right hand side which is my GPay code. You can scan that code using any of your UPI apps and make payments to us, basically to support our channel. Else the other way, if you want to make donations, is to go to the following link, which is a topmate.io link. You can type this link as is in your browser like Google Chrome or Edge and press enter. After that it will take you to my topmate.io page. Through that page you can make donations to us as well. And also guys, in case you want to contact us, you can contact us on my email address, which is vermavane@gmail.com. You can contact us for the below requirements which are given here on the right hand side. In case you need a copy of notes for any of the topics discussed during the video, you can send me an email on my email address. A nominal fee has to be paid if you want to obtain notes for any particular topic. It depends upon how lengthy the notes are. The fee will be decided according to that. So in case you need a copy of the notes, do send me an email on my email address. The other requirement for which you can contact me is to schedule one-on-one calls with me, which will be paid calls. So in case you want to schedule one-on-one calls with me, you can send an email to me so that I will help you in scheduling one of the calls. And in case you want to get SQL Server Coaching, you can also contact me on my email address. Some of the other requirements are if you need coaching on any particular SQL topic, or if you need some analysis of Transact-SQL code, or if you want to collaborate for any content creation or brand promotion, you can definitely send us an email on my email address and I will respond back to you. And do keep in mind that this will be a theoretical session and there will be no practicals on constants. So I will just discuss the theory part of it. Alright, so let's begin. So a constant, also known as a literal. So another synonym for constant is a literal. A constant is a literal or scalar value, and basically it's a symbol that represents a specific data value. So that's the definition of constant. Please remember this definition in mind. And the format of a constant depends upon the data type of value it represents. So basically what will be the value of constant? It totally depends upon what data type of the value it represents. The format of the constant depends upon that, whatever be the data type of the value it represents. Now let's talk about the character string constants, or character literals, I would say, also known as character string constants. So character string constants are enclosed in single quotation marks. So they are represented inside the single quotation marks, and these character string constants can include the alphanumerical characters, basically lowercase character from A to Z, and the uppercase character from A to Z. And the character constants can also include numbers from 0 till 9. And the character constants can also include the special characters such as the exclamation point, the @ sign, and the number sign, represented by these symbols: the @, the exclamation, and the sign symbol. Alright, the character string constants are assigned the default collation of the database. Whatever be the collation of your current database, character string constants will automatically get that collation. And if the collate clause is used, the conversion to the database default code page still happened before the conversion to the collation specified with the collate clause. So this is one of the important point. Even though we are using the collate clause, so the first conversion happens is the conversion to the database default code page. So whatever the collation database is using, first the character gets converted to that collation, and later on the collate is used. Later on we will show you why the practicals, not in this video, but yeah, in the upcoming videos I will show you how you can use the collate as clause to take a character as per specific collation. Now character string types by users are evaluated through the code page of the computer and are translated to a database default code page if it is required. So here we are talking about the character string types entered by the users, and these are evaluated through the code page of the computer and are translated to the database default code page first if it is required. So first of all, computer evaluates the character literals, and if the conversion is required, then these characters will be translated to the default database code page of the SQL Server or your database. Now, if we use a UTF-8 based collations, if these are specified using the collate clause, basically if we try to use the UTF-8 enable collation using the collate clause, conversion to the database default code page still happens before the conversion to the collation specified by the collate clause. So what do we mean by that? So even though we specify to collate certain characters using the UTF-8 based collation, the database default code page collation still applies, right? And later on the UTF-8 based collation will get applied. Now the conversion isn't done directly to the specific Unicode enabled collation. So characters don't get converted into the target collation immediately, like the UTF-8 collation we are using the collate clause. So conversion does not automatically happens directly to the Unicode enabled collation, but as an intermediate collation, the database code page applies first, or database collation applies first before your character string or character literal gets converted into the Unicode based or Unicode enabled collation. Now, when a quoted identifier option has been set to off for a connection, character strings can also be enclosed in double quotation marks. So if your this setting set quoted identifier option is set to off, if this option is off, the exact option name is set quoted identifier separated by underscore. If this option is set to off, then character strings can also be enclosed inside the double quotation marks. Otherwise, we generally enclose the character string inside the single quotation marks, but yeah, if this setting is off, we can definitely enclose them within the double quotation marks as well. But if we talk about the Microsoft OLEDB driver for SQL Server and ODBC driver for SQL Server, these drivers, basically the OLEDB driver and the ODBC driver, automatically use set quoted identifier to on. By default, they use this quoted identifier as on. So we should use the single quotation marks. So basically, recommendation is also to use the single quotation mark for any character string literals, basically. So use the single quotation marks always. Don't use the double quotation marks. Now, if a character string is enclosed in a single quotation marks, contains an embedded quotation marks. Here we are talking about the situation when you use a character string that enclosed single quotation mark within it, or if it includes enclosed an embedded quotation marks represented by the embedded single quotation mark with two single quotation mark. So this line is important basically. So if you want to print basically a single quotation mark from your character string literal, then you need to represent that single quotation mark with the two single marks. So that is what is being represented here. Now this is not required for the string embedded in a double quotation mark. So if you are embedding your strings in double quotation marks, then yeah, in order to print a single quotation mark, you can just enclose it as is. But yeah, in case you are using the single quotation marks to represent a string, then in order to print any embedded single quotation marks within the string, you need to put the double single quotation marks. Now let's discuss on some of the example of character string constants. This is one of the example of character string constants. This is also the one. Process access 50% complete. This is the one. The level of job ID %D should be between %T and %D. O'Brien. Here we have an embedded single quotation mark I was talking about earlier. If you want to print this single quotation mark, then yeah, you need to use the double quotation marks. Here it will print the single quotation marks because we have enclosed the string in a double quotation mark. But otherwise, if we were not using the double quotation mark here, instead if we are using the single quotation mark at the end, then yeah, we need to specify two single quotation marks here. I think you got the idea. Now empty strings are represented as two single quotation marks with nothing in between them. Okay guys, so we were talking about the empty strings. They are basically represented by using the two single quotation marks with nothing in between them. Now character string supports the enhanced collations as well, and character constants greater than 8000 bytes are typed as varchar max data. So any character length, if the character length is greater than 8000 bytes, then we recommend you to use the varchar max type. And let's talk about the Unicode strings. So Unicode strings have format similar to the character strings, but they are prefixed with an identifier, and N stands for the national language in the SQL 92 standard. The N prefix must be of uppercase, so N value that you are using should be in uppercase in order to represent any Unicode strings. Now let's take an example. So I've taken a keyword Michelle, and if you see we have I with an accented form and E with an accented form, right? So it has a tilde on top of it, so it's accented character. Same goes for E. So we are taking this character string Michelle. It's basically a character constant, and if we want to represent it as the Unicode character string constant, then we need to specify an keyword prefix to the original string. This is how you represent the Unicode character string. So this is a Unicode constant basically. So system determines anything prefixed with N as a Unicode constant, and Unicode constants are interpreted as Unicode data. So whatever string has prefixed with, if it is prefixed with N, the system will treat it as or interpret it as Unicode data, and these aren't evaluated by the code page. All right. Unicode constants do have a collation. The collation primarily controls comparison and case sensitivity. Unicode constants are assigned the default collation of the current database. So if we talk about Unicode constants, so for example this constant we have taken here, these are assigned the default collation of the database. So whatever collation your database is using, Unicode constants are assigned the default collation first, which is the collation of the database. And if you specifically use the collate as clause or collate clause, so if the collate clause is used, the conversion to the database default collation will happen first before conversion to the collation specified by the collate clause. Unicode string constants support enhanced collations. So if we talk about the Unicode string constants, they also support the enhanced collations, and Unicode constants greater than 8000 bytes are typed as nvarchar max. So we should use nvarchar max data for any Unicode strings that are larger than 8000 bytes. Now let's talk about the binary constants. Binary constants have a prefix 0x. Basically here we are talking about how do we represent the binary constants. So binary constants have a prefix of 0x and are a string of hexadecimal numbers, and they are not enclosed in quotation marks, so we don't specify the quotation marks while specifying the binary constants. And some of the example of binary strings are 0xAE, 0x12EF, and 0x this number, or 0x whatever empty binary string. So binary constants greater than 8000 bytes are typed as var binary max, and this is the data type that should be used for any binary constants that are larger than 8000 bytes in length. Let's talk about the Boolean constants. So Boolean based constants are represented by numbers 0 and 1. So there's a difference between Boolean and binary. Binary represents any hexadecimal numbers, and Boolean represents the values 0 and 1. So Boolean are also known as bit constants, and these are represented by numbers 0 and 1 and are not enclosed in the single quotation marks. If a number larger than 1 is used, it is automatically gets converted to 1. Now let's talk about the datetime constants. Datetime constants are represented by using character date values in specific formats, including the single quotation marks, and some of the examples are shared here for datetime constants. So these are some of the valid datetime constants. So we can represent a date as December 6, 1985. We can also represent the same date as 6 December 1985. And yeah, this is also another date constant where 85 is the year, 1985, 12th is the month, December, and 5th is the date or day. And this is also another example of date constant. Okay, so this is representing 5th December 1998, and if we talk about the time constants, these are valid time constants. represented in a 24-hour clock, and we can also use the AM PM to represent any time constants. Now let's talk about integer constants. Integer also represented by int keyword. These are constants are represented by a string of numbers that aren't enclosed in the quotation marks. So we don't include any integer number within the quotation marks, and these also don't contain any decimal points. Int constant must be whole numbers. They can't contain the decimals. So remember this about the integers. They don't contain any decimal points. The following are the example of int constant. So these are two numbers, 1894 and 2. These are the example of integer constants. So we don't enclose them within the single quotation marks, and we don't use decimal with them. Now let's talk about the decimal constants. So decimal constants are represented by a string of numbers that aren't enclosed in the quotation marks, but they do contain the decimal point. Now following are the example of the decimal constants. So 1894.1204 is a decimal constant, 2.0 is a valid decimal constant. Now let's talk about the floating point constants, and basically float and real constants are represented by using the scientific notation, and following are the example of float and real values. So we have values 101.5 E5. This number basically is equivalent to 101.5 into 10 raised to the power 5. Similarly, for this number 0.5 e minus 2, the number is 0.5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2. This is the scientific representation of these float and real numbers. Now let's talk about the money constants. Money constants are represented as a string of numbers with an optional decimal point and an optional currency symbol. So decimal point is optional over here for money constants, and also the currency symbol is also which will be used as a prefix is also not required, or it's an optional to include the currency symbol for money constants. Now money constants are enclosed in the quotation marks. SQL Server doesn't enforce any kind of grouping rules such as the inserting comma every 3 digits in strings that represents the money. So it doesn't enforce any kind of grouping, and commas are ignored anywhere in the string literal that is case to the money data type. So even if we include the commas in the money data, SQL Server simply ignores that those commas, and it also ignores any money symbols that we include for money constants. And following are some of the good example of money constant: $12, $542023.14, $-23. So basically SQL Server ignores the currency symbol attached with these constants, and these constants are not enclosed within the single quotation marks. That's also true. Now let's talk about the GUID constants. So these are also known as the unique identifier constants, and they are basically strings representing a GUID. They can be specified in either a character or binary string format. So there are two formats to represent them. Either they can be represented in a character format, or they can be represented in a binary format. So we have given an example for both of them. So this is the character representation of a GUID. Same representation can be done by using the hexadecimal notation, right? Now let's talk about specifying the negative and positive numbers. We basically use the negative and positive numbers to indicate whether the number is positive or negative by applying the plus or minus unary operators to a numeric constant. This creates a numeric expression that represents a signed numeric value. Numeric constants with positive values use the plus sign, and ones with the negative value use the minus unary operators are not specified. So here we are talking about the numeric constants. For a positive number, we don't explicitly need to specify the plus symbol, but for negative numbers, it is a requirement. All right, and let's talk about the signed integer expression. So this is a positive number plus 14534, and another one is a negative number. And let's talk about some of the signed decimal representations. So this is a positive number with a decimal embedded inside it, and this is a negative number with a decimal embedded inside it. And let's talk about some signed float expressions. So this is one of the example. So we use the plus symbol 123 minus 3 minus 12e5. These are the signed floating point expressions, and signed money expressions can be done as well, like by using the unary operator minus and plus. And let's talk about enhanced collations. So the database engine supports the character and Unicode string constants that supports the enhanced collations. That is true. So we are done with this video, guys. Today we have talked about various type of constants, including the character constants. We have talked about the Unicode string constants, we have talked about binary constants, then Boolean constants, datetime constants, integer constants, decimal constants, floating point constants, money constants. We talked about grid constants, and we have also talked about specifying how you can specify the negative and positive numbers. Later, we have talked a little bit about the enhanced relations as well. So this is what we have discussed today. We have talked about constants. So guys, I hope you like this video. If you really like it, please click on the like button, which is coming below this video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on the subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future and upcoming videos. And my next video will be on the conversion series, where I will show you how to perform various data type conversions within the database engine. We will talk about that. Most of the part will be theoretical, but at several locations I will discuss some conversions practically as well. So there will be few instances in next video for practicals as well. But yeah, most of the description or discussion will be theoretical. So stay in tune. If you want to get notifications, please turn on notifications if you have already subscribed to get the notifications regarding any of my future videos. All right, and guys, do post in your comments. We eagerly wait for your comments, and we read each and every comment of yours, and basically try to respond to you every time once we get your comments. And also guys, please share my videos with your friends in case you feel my videos can make difference in their life, or if my videos can help them in improving in the SQL Server domain. Yeah, definitely you can share my videos by using the share button that is coming below this video. Use that share button to share my videos with your friends over any of the social media platforms. Guys, in case you want to make any donations or offerings to us via UPI, then you may scan the code on the right hand side to make the payment. You can use any of the UPI based apps like Google Pay or PhonePe. So there's a code given on the right hand side, which is my GPay code. You can scan that code using any of your UPI apps and make payments to us, basically to support our channel. Else the other way, if you want to make donations, is to go to the following link, which is a topmate.io link. You can type this link as is in your browser like Google Chrome or Edge and press enter. After that, it will take you to my topmate.io page. Through that page you can make donations to us as well. And also guys, in case you want to contact us, you can contact us on my email address, which is vermavane@gmail.com. You can contact us for the below requirements, which are given here on the right hand side. In case you need a copy of notes for any of the topics discussed during the video, you can send me an email on my email address. A nominal fee has to be paid if you want to obtain notes for any particular topic. It depends upon how lengthy the notes are. The fee will be decided according to that. So in case you need a copy of the notes, do send me an email on my email address. The other requirement for which you can contact me is to schedule one-on-one calls with me, which will be paid calls. So in case you want to schedule one-on-one calls with me, you can send an email to me so that I will help you in scheduling one of the calls. And in case you want to get SQL Server Coaching, you can also contact me on my email address. Some of the other requirements are if you need coaching on any particular SQL topic, or if you need some analysis of Transact-SQL code, or if you want to collaborate for any content creation or brand promotion, you can definitely send us an email on my email address and I will respond back to you. I thank you so much for your time on this video today guys, and you have a wonderful day ahead.